Okay, so making corn illegal is not going to cause birth rates to go up. I can't believe we have to have this conversation. Now, one of the biggest things that discourages breeding is prosperity. Okay, and especially if a woman has the skills to participate in the economy, in a prosperous economy, because there's more options available than just basically getting stuffed out by your husband every night and popping out babies. Like, if all things were being equal, like, well, I could have babies, or I could, have a job, or I could do this, or I could do that. Okay, roll the die, and then, if babies come up, fine. If not, they're doing something else. Very understandable. When people have options, they may choose one of those options. This is good. Women are not the property of men anymore. And I think that's a good improvement. Now, here's the thing. People are free to make choices. And a lot of women do not want to marry a lot of men or have babies with a lot of men. Since people are free to choose who they pair up with, a lot of women don't want to have sex with ugly chud men like myself. I've slept with 11 women. After the brief honeymoon period, they don't want to anymore. And that's okay. I'm not bitter about that. This is a reality, though. They'd rather compete, broadly speaking. So the pool of men that are like on a 1 to 10 scale are 7 and up, and preferably like 8 and up. Yeah, they want to go for the top tier men who are both beautiful and charismatic. And things like finance and so on are secondary or tertiary concerns, not primary. A lot of women would rather share a man, be part of his harem, than settle for an average chud or an ugly chud like me. Or many other people. All right, there's a lot of men, like I've slept with 11 people in my lifetime, a lot of men my age that never had a sexual relationship at all, ever. When women are free to choose, most men are not options for them. Now, Pearl correctly observed, if you check out Pearl's channel, that the church is the last stop on the 304 train. Now, I'm not using 304 as pejorative. If women want to play the field in their 20s, their early 30s, that's their own choice. There are consequences. Okay? No decision we make is without consequences, right? So, when women are playing the field and they no longer can easily play the field because the players don't want to be with them anymore because they don't have their youth that they used to have, then they go to, I want to settle down with somebody. And they find an ugly chud or an average chud to marry. And maybe there might be things that she actually likes about him, personality-wise, perhaps, but he's not attractive. He's there for stability. And maybe he helps raise the kids she's already conceived with these studly men. Or maybe she'll have children with him, and then 18 years later, when the kids are grown up, divorce him, and then move on and try to ride one more wild time before they're too old to do it. Again, I'm not talking about everyone. Okay, I want to have to keep putting this disclaimer in. And I'm sorry about the glare. I got a scratch on the lens. We're just gonna have to deal with it. So there's a whole bunch of men that women don't want, and you want to ban because you're worried about the undesirable men that women don't want masturbating. Now, people masturbated without erotic imagery. Okay, you meet people, you see beautiful women. Yes, if you're homosexual, you see beautiful men, whatever, okay? I'm not discounting the homosexual, but I'm talking about hetero relationships right now. You meet beautiful women, you talk to them, get to know them, see them wearing different outfits in different situations, create a fantasy in your mind, and you wank one out. Okay, wanking can be a fill-in activity where intercourse is not available. But sometimes wanking is just an end unto itself. I've known people with a healthy sex life, and they have intercourse on a regular basis, but they also masturbate. And sometimes you want to have a fantasy that's just a fantasy, but you don't want to act it out in person. Like some people fantasize all about being assaulted and choked. Okay? Now, they don't want to do that in real life. They don't want to play out the assault and the choke in real life because it's dangerous. But in the fantasy, it works out. So they enjoy the fantasy, and then they also have intercourse with their partner. Now, if you don't have an imagination, I'm sure you can't think of this. You can't conceive of it. Especially if you have aphantasia, and I'm sorry if you do. It's great to have an imagination. I have a very extremely vivid imagination. So pornography ends up being, let's say, value added for masturbation. You don't necessarily have to fire up the imagination machine. Now, some people like it, some people don't. The whole spiraling down the pit of ever increasing, more violent and degraded, it's just not true. It's not true. I had trouble getting into corn because I have so many hang-ups about bodily fluids and watching people have sex and this, that, and the other thing. I don't like, makeup's gross, like everyone's wearing makeup in pornography. And I had trouble getting into it. And then even when I could appreciate it from time to time, like this isn't real, and I'm not participating, so I'd rather have my own fantasies. And my own fantasies are quite mild. I'll just tell you what they are. It's a woman who actually wants to participate, who's enthusiastic, okay? And she actually puts effort into the act. Just lovingly puts effort into sex. It's pretty bland. And I find that very exciting. That's all I really need to fantasize about. Because in my own life, I sleep with 11 women, and they largely don't want to put any effort in, right? And I know they can. I know they do. I know there's, but I'm not good looking. And if you're good looking, women break the rules to be with you. And if you're not good looking, they make the rules for you. If you're good looking, they break them. If you're not good looking, they make them. The more chudley you are, the more rules, more barriers you have. Now, are you concerned about trafficking? Okay. Well, you take the missing persons reports. You watch the erotica. You'll look for the missing persons. You'll notify the police or the FBI, and they go and find it, and they go rescue her, and they go punish the people who kidnapped her. Or the men. I'm sure men are trafficked too. So just let's not forget about men, because men get kidnapped and trafficked as well. Your birth rate's not going to go up. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't have corn. I'm going to go out and find me a wife. No. These guys are already looking. You can want to have a shag and a wank in the same day. I was dating a woman a few years back. And she'd come over, and we'd watch a movie and have sex. That was our date. And because I'm not attractive, she really didn't put much effort into it. Right? But, hey, I'm a warm body temperature dildo. Okay, whatever. I'm not better about that. It's just what it is. And so she'd go home, and I'd still be, after we make love, I mean, you know what? I'm horny again. I could have made love 2 or 3 or 4 times. So I would, I'd jerk off. I fantasize about what things could have been if she didn't suck at sex, and then I'd jerk off, and that'd be it, and get on with life. The people who have an addiction problem dominate the conversation. You hear most about them. Like, oh my God, I can't stop doing this. I can't stop doing 10, 12, 14 times a day. And whether it's jerking off or having intercourse with your spouse, you're spending all day, every day, masturbating or having intercourse, ejaculating, and constantly floods your brain with prolactin, which makes you feel very unmotivated. But also, obviously, you have an addiction. You can't do anything else. You can't self-regulate. And so the people who can't self-regulate dominate the conversation about various activities, not just sex, but also overeating, too much drugs, too much smoking, too much drinking, and so on. You don't hear much about the average people who high functioning and use it and get on with life, because there's really no story to tell. And maybe the high functioning people need to start telling their stories so that it balances out all the addiction bullshit. Right? Because you have people say, okay, I got out of bed today, I brushed my teeth, and I combed my hair, and I went to work. And on the way to work, I had a cup of coffee, went there, worked hard all day, even got some overtime, worked 10 hours, came home, said hello to my family, had dinner, went to bed, asked my wife if she wanted to make love. She said no, so I jerked off and I went to sleep. Okay. She's going to be saying no to you. Okay, guess what? People are going to say no to each other. Okay, obviously he's not attractive. Otherwise she'd say yes. Okay, so, and then he gets up and goes the next day. People toss one off and they get on with life, all right? Or I went to work today. When I got home, I had a couple beers. And then I played ball with my son before the sun went down. And then we had dinner and I went to bed. I got home from work and then I did my chores. I cleaned out the coal stove, put fresh coal on the coal stove, washed the dishes, smoked a joint, went to bed. Most people, that's what happens. They just get on with life. And so if you think taking away the things people enjoy, such as watching other people have sex, which is porn, right? That they're suddenly going to change dramatically. Like, oh, they're gonna become more fecund. They're not going to become more fecund because of it. People have the children they want to have now. They actually can choose to plan families rather than breed like rats. Now, I am not knocking people having large families and just letting nature take its course. But it doesn't have to be the default anymore. And there are fecund populations within the United States. Amongst the heritage population in the United States. People have been here for, 100 years or more. Okay? For example, the Amish have lots of big families. They're continually growing in population. The Orthodox Jews, continually growing in population. The Mormons, to a lesser extent, but still continually growing in population. They're fecund, okay? And I don't know what other populations are that fecund, but just taking those three just means that the other populations of, for example, if you want to break it down by religion, I was using religion, the Catholics, the mainline Protestants, the evangelicals, the atheists, they're slowly dying out. Now, some still have families, but their share of the population is going to go down, and the share of the population that's Amish, Orthodox Jewish, or Mormon is going to go up. You're not going to motivate people who don't want to have babies to have babies. The only thing you could probably do is take the people who already like to have babies and somehow help them to have more. Now, I don't know how you would do that, but you're not going to motivate people who have 0 to 1 and say you got to have 5. It's not going to happen. Taking away their corn isn't going to change that. Taking away the things they enjoy. If he wasn't playing video games, he'd be out looking for a wife. No, it's for some people, it's the other way around. Since they can't find a wife, they play video games. But also, video games is just a hobby. And what a man does in his downtime is his own fucking business. It's none of yours. Go back far enough in time. I know, you have people who, you had kings trying to prohibit playing cards. It's a waste of time. You're not producing work. Guess what? We produce enough work now. We produce enough wealth now that you actually have time to enjoy other things in life other than toiling. And that's great. For now, it's great. Even while we're in decline, it's still great. You can actually enjoy various things. I just put Star Trek Online on my computer. And I played the very first mission. And I'm playing as a Klingon. You can play different factions. Play a Federation in the 24th century. You can play the original series. And you also can play a Klingon faction, a Romulan faction, a Jem'Hadar, a Dominion faction. And I played the first Klingon mission. It was really good. The story is good. And I had a blast. And I did that for about half an hour. And now I have to start my day. High-functioning users of things that are enjoyable. Last night, I had a tall boy beer. And then I sobered up and went on with life. Did the things I had to do. Change the cat litter. Fill the water bowls, give the dog his insulin shot, and I, whatever, and I went to bed. So we have this street lamp fallacy. That's what it is. Where okay, this is how it works. So there's a person out in a parking lot underneath the street lamp at night, looking around on the ground, and security says, "Oh, what's going on?" Guard goes out there and says, "What's going on, sir?" He says, "Well, I'm looking for my keys." Guard looks on the ground in the light, goes, "I don't see your keys here." He said, "Yeah, I know. I dropped them over there." He says, "Why are you looking here?" He says, "That's the only place I can see." And so when you look at people and say, well, somebody's masturbating, that means they're not having sexual intercourse. And sexual intercourse would otherwise be readily available to them and would otherwise want to have reproductive sex. It's just not even the case. Now, are there stories? I've read stories online and like Reddit and things like that where, it was a honeymoon, right? So the couple just got married. They went to the hotel. Supposedly they're going to have sex. She's getting ready, whatever. She took a shower. She's putting on her lingerie, whatever. And she comes out and he's there blowing it on a newspaper. And her feelings were hurt and crushed. Like, okay, well, that's his fucking problem. That doesn't make masturbation a problem. It makes his timing of his masturbation a problem. He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait fucking half an hour or an hour for his wife to come out and fuck her. He had to jerk off right then and there. Okay. The masturbation is the problem. Okay, so the wanking's only a problem if it's denying sex to someone else. Not every act of masturbation is denying sex to someone else, especially if your partner has a really low sex drive. You like to make love tonight? No? Okay, I'm going to jerk off. Now, jerk off can be a replacement, but again, I think sexual intercourse has a making love to someone. Let's get by the intercourse, because intercourse is just the physical. There we go. Making love, appreciating, kissing, loving, touching, cherishing, appreciating, communicating. All these things is part of making love. Okay, making love has its own quality that masturbation and just mechanical intercourse can't replace. Just be real here. Okay. But not every act of masturbation is somehow depriving someone else of sex. There are instances where one or the other person's masturbation habits interfere with the sex life of the couple. And there's times where it doesn't. And be blunt, here's the reality. If you have a very seriously mismatched libido, if someone has a really strong libido and the other one does not, unless you can engage in rape, which I do not recommend, all right, it's wrong to SA other people, then you're going to have to rely on the substitutionary activity, right? If you want to make love every night and the other person wants to make love once every 6 months, guess what? Someone's going to be jerking off. Either that, you get a concubine. You bring a concubine into the relationship. And yes, you know what? For those in traditional marriages, concubines are a tradition. So don't give me that crap like, oh, that's degenerate. No, and actually it's not. Keeping concubines is part of many different traditions. But all you can do is just look at, the only thing you can think of is masturbating. Masturbating and video games and drinking and drugs. That's why people aren't having reproductive sex within marriage. No. The reason why people aren't having reproductive sex within marriage is that most women don't want to sleep with most men. And they certainly don't want to marry them or bear their children for the most part. And that's okay. So, whatever. You ban corn? Okay. It's not going to change anything. It's going to change nothing. It's not going to suddenly make the men more attractive. And yes, I suppose the men with aphantasia might be more inclined to try to get physical contact, but it's just going to be ugly chud men approaching women who don't want them. I don't even have a dog in this fight. I don't have a horse in this race because I'm old and my body's failing. So it really doesn't fucking matter. All right, I'm just done. I've slept with 11 women, and I know all of them find me hideous. So it's fine. And a lot of other guys who are just unattractive are coming to terms with that in their own way, in their own time. And it's okay. The fecund populations will continue to reproduce. The populations are like, guess what? An Orthodox Jewish family then marry other Orthodox Jews. They have a culture that's very fecund. And they're going to say, guess what? The world will be a better place if there are more Jews in the world. So when we screw, we're just going to let nature take its course, and there's going to be more Jewish kids. And the same with the Mormons. There's going to be more Mormon kids. And with the Amish, like, oh, there's going to be more Amish kids. And for the other subpopulations, I can't think of any offhand because I don't know the birth figures for any other subpopulation. Just is what it is. The other populations will shrink. Those populations will grow. Eventually, the populations will grow large enough that you're going to have a net increase in population just from breeding. It's just going to be, Amish, Jewish, and Mormon. And they're not going to be Catholic, evangelical, or atheists. Such short-term thinking about population. Now, if you really want to make everyone fecund, okay, then you could just collapse the economy. You could shut down the electrical grid forever. And then people will panic, and they'll loot the grocery stores, and then they'll eat each other. And then when life becomes really fucking hard, the old relationship of, when things get hard and dangerous, right? Then the old relationship where weak women need strong men to protect them, and there'll be this old arrangement, which will come back, the arrangement of prostitution we call marriage, where she gives sexual access and breeding rights to a strong man who'll fight for and provide for her. There you go. You have an ethical code for a time and place that no longer exists. If you wanted to come back, you could do that. No, I happen to think that social code is bullshit. I wouldn't want a weak, useless companion whose only value was the gash between her legs. I like the company of equals. I like people who are going to contribute. And women can contribute. And so I agree with the feminists on that. And I don't ever want to go back to that traditional pussy for protection trade. That's fucking retarded. It may have been functional and stable, but it still sucks. It's like, it's just the lowest common denominator of a stable human civilization. And I know darn well, the banning of corn is not your primary concern. You're playing off the sensibilities of the population so that you can implement more strict and censorious control over the internet at large, so that people can't criticize the government. You're just using the pornography issue as the wedge to get in, and it's pathetic. But you'll do what you'll do, and the people will fall for what they fall for. I can't. There's no grand awakening. Your civilization's doomed. You're doing a ghost dance. It's the last gasp of a dying civilization before it goes into ruin. And on the bright side, seeing how you don't like pornography, when things are completely falling apart, and they will, whether you deliberately take it down now or whether it just runs itself into the ground, well, there won't be much in the way of pornography, will there? People will be living off the land. They'll be farming. They'll be foraging. They'll be too busy with everything else to go on the internet and look at pornography. They're not going to have the internet. Now, someone might paint an erotic picture, or carve an erotic statue, or tell erotic stories. But if you're worried about internet corn, it's going to be gone because there won't be internet. There won't be anything. There won't be people driving around in cars with internal combustion engines. There won't be lights that switch on when you go in the house. You're going to have to provide your own lighting. So don't worry. You're going to get what you want, just not the way you want it. Have a nice day.